Welcome back to another episode of Raw Sports Center, man. As you can see by the title and by the thumbnail, today we're going to be diving into some film on A.J. Brown. Y'all know how we do over here. We're going to jump straight into it. So the very first play, so one of the things I always talk about for one is the gotta have it situation. It's third and 8, actually. So yeah, third and long, that's where you don't want to be. And you need your playmakers to make plays for you. So it's gotta have it situation. So who is those gotta have it guys? And obviously you know that with Philadelphia, especially in this situation where it's a pass situation, it's going to be A.J. Brown. So you have him matched up one-on-one on the outside with their best player is Jair Alexander, and he just kind of runs pretty much just a little simple out route. I mean, it wasn't nothing fancy, but it was the ability to make Jair Alexander miss and be able to get the first down and then eat up some additional yardage as well. So that's one of the things I will say about A.J. Brown, that he's very good. He's a very physical receiver for one, but he's good at also, not just making catches, but being able to eat up yards, get yards after the catch on a lot of those catches, just like how he did here and was able to get the first down. So right here on this route, we got another one-on-one matchup with Jair Alexander. And see, this is what the top guys are paid high dollars for. And this is why the top guys are considered the top guys in NFL. Because look at what they do whenever they're matched up against the superior in the cornerback position. So if you got a top receiver and he's matched up against one of the top corners in the league, how does he shape up? And if you look at this play right here, so the first play we just seen with A.J. Brown lined up on Jair Alexander, that ended up in the first down, right? And you see this play right here, one-on-one coverage, just end up in a touchdown. So he just ran a pretty much kind of similar to the route he ran earlier, where the previous clip he ran out route, right? So right here he ran an out and up. He faked as if he was going to go run the out route, and then he turned it upfield, and he kind of just caught Jair Alexander kind of eyes cheating at Jalen Hurts and kind of caught him out of position, and the safety took a horrible angle on this, and he was able to catch the ball and just do exactly what I was talking about, which is get yards after the catch, and that just shows his explosive playability. Once, like when I always talk about, whenever it's the category in terms of games won and lost, a lot of times it comes from a turnover battle, it comes from time of possession, it comes from penalties, and it comes from explosive plays. How many of them were you able to create, and how many of them were you able to give up? And when you got a guy like A.J. Brown, he can create more explosive plays than the average receiver because of his ability, his explosiveness, and his ability to take a simple would-be 20-some yard catch and turn it into a 60-some yard touchdown catch and run. So we got him matched up on the outside with another top corner in the NFL, which is Denzel Ward, and he's the top cover guy for the Cleveland Browns. It looked like he was in some type of zone coverage, considering that he had his back to the basket. He did a good job at kind of watching Jalen Hurts, and as soon as Jalen Hurts threw the ball, was committed to throwing the ball to A.J. Brown, he did a good job at breaking on it. But A.J. Brown just did a good job at doing A.J. Brown things, which was securing the catch and making a guy miss and being able to pick up yards after the catch. Like I said, initially, man, if he make the tackle right here, that's, a third and short, maybe 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, or whatever the case may be. But when you're dealing with a guy like A.J. Brown, it's a lot harder to bring him down. So you deal with the factor of, if I miss this tackle now, that's another 5 to 6 yards additionally, and that's a first down to move the stick. So, like I said, one of the biggest things I see with him is one, and it's also not just physicality. I think a lot of people always look at the ability to be able to make yards after the catch is just from a physical standpoint, which that can be, whether that's you stiff arming and things of that nature. But right here, it just like he does a good job at just staying balanced and being able to stay on his feet and being able to maximize on the gain that he could have that he got on that play, opposed to settling for being tackled right there. He was able to stay on his feet after Denzel Ward tried taking him down and get the additional yards to get the sticks moving. All right, so we got A.J. Brown first time lined up anywhere else other than outside the number. So let me give you guys a brief rundown on that too. So one of the things that an offensive coordinator does to try to minimize them taking away his best option, which would be A.J. Brown, is you move him around. You don't predominantly have him lined up outside the numbers. You can have him lined up outside the numbers. You can have him lined up inside the numbers. You can have him lined up in the slot. You can kind of even possibly have him lined up in the backfield. And what that does is it takes away the ability for a defense to really just key in on him. Because if I'm a defense coordinator, I know every play more times than not, he's lining up here, then it's easier for me to be able to just scheme around that and try to figure out ways to take away or minimize his effectiveness. But when you move him around, it becomes a chess match now, because the defensive coordinator has to first identify exactly where it is he's going to be lining up. But right here, man, he does a good job. Also once again showcasing that big play, explosive down the field playability. Obviously, so far we've seen most of his big playability come from catch and runs right here, but he does a good job at showcasing too that he can also make those plays in those tight confined areas. And obviously, when you get into the red area, you don't have a lot of room to work around with. The closer you get to the touchdown, the less room you have to be able to maneuver. And he shows that also he can be able to make those tough catches in those tight situations like he did right here. So right here on this play, man, we got another one-on-one matchup. See, when you got a guy that's a dog like A.J. Brown, man, a lot of times, man, the play calling can be very, very simple. When we get the matchups that we want, which is those one-on-one situations, more times than not, we going to go at you. We don't care whether it's first down, second down, third down, or even fourth down. If you give us a one-on-one matchup on the outside with A.J. Brown, we going to go at you. So right here, man, he kind of runs like a little, it's basically just a go ball, but he kind of gives the corner a little hesitation. And, you know, that could have been a setup. You know, a lot of times you want to always keep the defenders guessing. Sometimes you just immediately do a speed release and you get upfield. Sometimes you might do a little shake and bake at the line of scrimmage to try to, you know, throw him off. And sometimes you might even do a hesitation like that to where it might seem like it's probably going to be, he's going to break it down where it might possibly be a hitch, or he might try to cut it back inside. So you just keep the defender on his toes, keep him guessing. He does a good job at kind of being able to make him hesitate a little bit, and he just was able to get on top of him and stack him. And then Jalen Hurts just put the ball right there. I mean, honestly, he just went and made him play, man. He has phenomenal focus, man, because to me, it looked like the corner kind of got there a little early, and kind of looking at it too, it looked like the ref was actually going to possibly throw the flag too, but I guess once he recognized that A.J. Brown actually caught it, he was just like, man, no point even throwing a flag because he was able to catch it. But just to be able to maintain focus, balance when you're being pulled and grabbed, especially well before the ball even gets there, to be able to key in on it and still to be able to make that tough over the shoulder catch, man, you know, that's not easy to do. Like I said, once again, man, you look at what's been one of the recurring themes with A.J. Brown, you know, dealing with him, opposed to, you know, from watching a lot of other guys, you know, not just, you know, touchdowns, but the explosive playability. You know what I mean? Like I say, you know, most of his catches that we're seeing are catches that's probably going for 15 yards or more, whether that be catches like this or the previous one, or that's catches where he's able to catch the ball and make a guy miss and get upfield. So right here, once again, man, you got a one-on-one matchup on the outside. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably are wondering, like, man, why do they keep trying to line up one-on-one and match up with A.J. Brown? Now, here's when you have a two-headed monster factor into this situation. So you got to think about it. Who was the top rushing league team in the NFL this past season? Philadelphia Eagles, right? So when you have to play the Philadelphia Eagles, you also have to take into consideration, man, we have to find ways to try to minimize their running game, whether that's via Saquon Barkley or whether that's via Jalen Hurts running the ball himself. So a lot of times you're probably going to see a lot of teams that's probably going to try to play them in a cover one so they can drop that extra safety down in the box, or a cover zero so they can have more hats in the box. So right here, to me, it looked like this was a cover zero, to where they kind of like they might have double teamed the tight end, and they might have kind of double teamed that other receiver on the opposing side. And why would you leave not Devontae Smith, but A.J. Brown matched up one-on-one on the outside? I have no idea. But when you have to consider game planning against the Philadelphia Eagles, that's one of the main things that you're thinking about, is trying to figure out ways to be able to slow down that run game. And when you're doing that, you're pulling potential people out. Like I say, if you sit back in the too high, now you can find ways to try to take A.J. Brown out of the situation, or to try to minimize it. But then that's going to be a lighter box, so now you're going to have to deal with Saquon Barkley running all over you. But right here, man, he just did a good job at, once again, man, just winning the matchup. I mean, he ran like a stop and go again. Like they kind of ran like a little underneath, like a little stutter step. And I mean, the DB played it as good as you really can play it. It wasn't a whole lot of separation here, so I'm not going to make it seem like he just beat him by that much. It was just a few steps that he had on him. But obviously, when you're dealing with A.J. Brown and when you're dealing with the connection that him and Jalen Hurts has, then, you know, even just a little bit of room is too much room. And you see that on this touchdown catch. So once again, man, we got another outside matchup with just A.J. Brown on one-on-one. So it looked like Cowboys probably was in some type of cover one look, but what did I just talk about previously? Most of the time, the teams that play on Philadelphia, you're probably going to see one high looks. That's probably going to be cover one, cover three, to be able to, for one, get that extra man in the box. And then if it's in cover three, to be able to have the three deep zones to try to prevent the deep plays like this one right here. But once again, A.J. Brown does a good job at, you know, because you had the guy number 21 in off coverage. I mean, he played that once again as good as you can play it. I mean, it's just A.J. Brown. You know, A.J. Brown was he like he tried to run a stop and go, and number 21 didn't really bite on it. I mean, he kind of held his ground. It's just A.J. Brown, as he closed the distance, he was able to use it, you know, because he tried to put his hand on him right here. Boom. Once A.J. Brown swatted his hand, it's like that propelled him forward and kind of slowed the DB down, and that allowed for him to stack him and get over the top of him. And once again, Jalen Hurts probably did a good job at putting the ball where he put it at, to prevent number 6 from being able to come and make a play over the top. And the moral of the story, man, just from breaking film down, is that whenever they got these matchups on the outside one-on-one with A.J. Brown, man, Philadelphia did a good job at taking advantage of them, and they did a good job at ripping up these big chunk games, these big explosive plays downfield whenever they were able to get those one-on-one matchups. But that's the faith that you have in a receiver like A.J. Brown. Once again, like I said, regardless if you're going up against Jair Alexander, Denzel Ward, or if you was going against Trayvon Diggs for the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of who he goes up against, we're confident that if y'all give us those one-on-one matchups on the outside, that we can win those. So right here we have another gotta have a situation. You got a 3rd and 4. Like I say, man, you got to get the first down in order to move the sticks, in order to keep the drive alive. And, you know, in those gotta have it situations, who are the go-to guys? The go-to guy for Philadelphia Eagles more times than not, especially when it comes to passing, is A.J. Brown. So he does a good job. It looked like L.A. was probably in man-to-man coverage again, like they was on a single high. And like I said, you already know the reasons behind a single high, allowing them to stack the box, but then it hurts you on the outside if your cats on the outside isn't better than theirs. And I don't know how many corners can actually consistently go up against A.J. Brown in a single high defense, man-to-man, and not give up big explosive plays. And you see he comes through once again with a gotta have it catch. And what's the name? What's the name of his highlight so far? Is YAC, yards after the catch. So he's able to get the first down, and he's able to eat up a little bit more additional yardage with a run after the catch. So right here we have another gotta have it situation. You got A.J. Brown matched up one-on-one on the outside again with another corner. And I mean, it's the basic, like when I'm looking at him, looking at these, breaking out film on him, it's not like it's things that's just out of this that's just extraordinary in terms of the route running, or even, I would say, possibly even play calling, which I think that they're basically just capitalizing off of what the defense is giving them in terms of them getting a lot of single high looks, and a lot of it ends up being man-to-man coverage, and they're just taking advantage on the outside with A.J. Brown. So that's no different here. This was a 3rd down catch. He just ran a slant route. The cornerback missed him, and he was just able to make a couple guys make number 26 miss. That probably was the safety, kind of able to fight off number 3 for a little bit before he was able to bring him down, but he was able to just eat up and chew up a little bit more yardage as he was going down to the ground to maximize on the yards after the catch. So right here we have another gotta have a situation. You got A.J. Brown matched up on the outside with a corner one-on-one situation. So the moral of the story, man, is just Philadelphia has really just been taking advantage of what the defense gives them, man. Like I said, they've been getting a lot of single high looks, and a lot of it has resulted in man-to-man coverage, and they just haven't been able to have anybody who can consistently stick with A.J. Brown or really just challenge him at the line of a scrimmage. So even right here, he gives A.J. Brown a free release. A.J. Brown just makes the catch, gets the first down, and him being A.J. Brown, he's able to make additional yards after the catch as well. We're just sloppy. I feel like just, you know, kind of sloppy effort from the corner right there, just trying to kind of arm tackle. You got to try to put a body on A.J. Brown best way you can in order to bring him down. And he just is able to wiggle free from that poor tackle and, you know, and eat up some additional yardage. So right here we have another gotta have a situation. And you want to know what's crazy? In the previous clip, I made a statement saying that about their teams not having a guy who can consistently get at the line of scrimmage and challenge A.J. Brown. So most guys that matched up on him in one-on-one situations like this, most of them kind of just used the off-coverage approach. Nobody really tried getting physical at the line of scrimmage. And this play right here kind of shows you why. Just look at this. Look at this release, man. Look at it. Boom. Look at the physicality, right? So you might say, okay, what would be the answer to guarding A.J. Brown? So some people might say, okay, getting at the line of scrimmage and trying to challenge him and getting physical, which that's a possibility and that's an option. But you have to be able to match the level of physicality. And right here, he just pretty much bulldozes number 24, man. I'm talking about just shove him out the way. Let me look at that one more time. Like, just look at this. Boom, just throw him out the way. This is a grown man, by the way, that we're talking about. Like, I'm talking about number 24. This is a grown man that weighs, I know, 100, at least 190, 195 pounds. And just look at how he just tosses him to the side as if he's nothing. And then once again, he shows strong running, being able to slide out of that tackle, kind of run through Minkah Fitzpatrick a little bit, and just try to pick up and be able to pick up a extra yardage. And all of that, your little yardage count. That little yardage can be the difference maker, especially when you're in the red area and putting your team in a position to be able to go for it on 4th down or possibly being able to kick a field goal. So once again, this is a gotta have a situation. And like I said, when we're talking about elite receiver, or when we're talking about that top category of receivers, I need to be able to see you win those matchups against those top cornerbacks. So you've seen him beat Jair Alexander, you've seen him beat Denzel Ward, and right here you see him beat another good press corner, which is Marshawn Lattimore. Once again, you know, I figure a lot of people probably would have been bringing up, well, why aren't they getting physical with him at the line of scrimmage? And yeah, sometimes being able to get physical can possibly slow down the timing of the route. But then also too, when you have a guy that's as physical as AJ Brown, in a lot of ways he welcomes it, especially in red area situations where it's a short down situation, because even if you are able to get physical with him, more times than not, I see him winning that battle. And even when he in that situation, he's gonna use himself as a power forward or a center would in basketball. Whenever they're using their bodies to box guys out to get rebounds, he would have done the same thing to Marshawn Lattimore to be able to use his body to box him out, to be able to make the tough catch to get the touchdown. So the same thing would have happened. All right, so right here, once again, man, you got him matched up on the outside with Lattimore, and, man, he just does a good job at just getting past Lattimore, stacking him from the release, and just running downfield. And Lattimore never was able to really turn back around and locate the ball until the last minute, and at that point, he was kind of out of position. But like I say, man, he has the speed. For one, the big playability, the explosive playability, and he has the defense to challenge. He has the speed to challenge defenses vertically, meaning down the field, and create plays like this. And like I said, obviously based off of Philadelphia being Philadelphia and being that they were one of the top run teams in the NFL, a lot of teams are going to challenge them or going to play them with single high shells, which means one safety, which that's what number 20 was. Now, if you send vertical routes down the field, now it kind of puts number 20 in a compromising position of who he takes. So what I mean by vertical, so it could be something simple as a go route. It could be something as simple as a post route. It can even be something as simple as a comeback, something that it puts the safety in compromise, because he's trying to figure out which one does he stay over the top. And even corner routes like this, being able to throw away from it. But obviously you know that wasn't Jalen Hurts. That was the backup Kenny Pickett who threw this pass, and it was, like I say, it was behind AJ Brown. But one of the things I always talk about is being able to play on script and on script, meaning that I get it when we draw up these plays and we go out and practice them and execute them in the game, and it goes exactly how we drew it up. That's playing on script. But when things like this happen, when I beat my man on this route and the ball is underthrown, do I give effort? Do I try to come back and make a play? Do I come back and try to show effort and possibly get a PI drawn, opposed to just giving it up because it wasn't ahead of me where I wanted it? And AJ Brown does a good job at just being able to come back, fight underneath, and get back in position and secure the catch on Marshawn Lattimore to move the sticks. So right here, we have a situation of 4th and 7. And this is a very dangerous situation to be in, because if they don't get this game is pretty much over with, considering the field position that the Commanders would have been in. So obviously it wasn't too much special on this route in terms of the route, man. It just was really a simple drag route, just running across the middle, just taking advantage of the man-to-man defense. They tried to make it to where they had like a natural pick route, to where they made the defenders almost run into each other. One of them had to get out the way and get off of their man, which they did. They did it the best that they could. The guy still was on top of AJ Brown, but one of the things that AJ Brown is able to do very well is make catches and stop and redirect. You know what I mean? We've seen him do that several times throughout breaking down film, and that was something I meant to kind of pinpoint as well. His ability to be able to stop on the drop of a dime and redirect and get back to speed, exactly like he did here. And like I said, man, the basis of a lot of what he does really is yards after the catch, like little simple stuff like slants, fade routes, go balls, and just taking advantage of those matchups that he gets. So, man, you know how when we talk about basketball and we say like certain guys, like you might say like Luka, who's the king of isolation ball. And I would say AJ Brown, man, he is the king of one-on-one matchups, man, and just capitalizing on them. So right here, once again, he has Lattimore, who's a physical corner, good coverage corner, one-on-one situation, got up at the line of scrimmage, tried to get physical with him. But what did I say? AJ Brown is the type of receiver who welcomes the physicality more times than not. By the way, this was a 4th down. This was a gotta have a situation. I'm glad I was able to put that in there. But here's the thing about this, even people might say, well, one of the reasons why AJ Brown was able to put up and do some of the things he was able to do was because he was seeing a lot more man-to-man coverage than the other guys. And that could be true, but it's not AJ Brown's fact. It's not his fault that their management over on the Philadelphia Eagles end is doing everything they can to try to maximize on the productivity as the team as their team as a whole. It's not their fault they're doing their due diligence in the offseason, or doing their due diligence in free agency, or doing their due diligence in the draft to put pieces around. He benefits from it, but that's not his fault. But at the end of the day, when you get these matchups, regardless, even if it was one-on-one, if you can't win the matchups, then you can't win the matchup, then none of that stuff is even relevant. But once again, he shows you that when you can match me up on the outside with your best corner, whether it's Lattimore, Jair Alexander, or Denzel Ward, or whoever, and more times than not, I'm going to come up victorious in that matchup. So right here, man, we got another gotta have it situation, man. It looks like once again, man, they got another one-on-one matchup with AJ Brown. Like I said, man, he's the king of one-on-one. He's the king of isolation ball, being able to get those one-on-one matchups consistently and win them. And this was against in my opinion, one of the top corners in the NFL is Trent McDuffie, which I love Trent McDuffie a lot. I think he is a great corner. But right here, A.J. Brown just does a good job at, for one, they're playing off coverage on him too. But he just does a good job at just being able to be physical at the point of attack and kind of just, like I said earlier, use his body to kind of shield off the defender to make a tough catch. And it was just good ball placement too from Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? And that's for all the people who say that he's not a real quarterback. Just look at the ball placement on a lot of these highlights that we were able to look at during film. And once again, this was a guy to have a situation too. 3rd and 7. Once again, our best against y'all best, and our best came up victorious. But like I said, man, the way teams had to play Philadelphia in terms of having to take into consideration dealing with Saquon Barkley, a lot of the times they were probably going up against guys who were in single high shells, meaning that it was only one high defender, a safety, a center field safety, or sometimes even cover 0 to where it was no over-the-top help to allow them to stack the box to deal with the threat of Saquon or Jalen Hurts running the ball. So that allowed for him to have those one-on-one matchups, and every time he got them, more times than not, man, he took full advantage of them, man. So like I say, man, just overall as a receiver, and one of the things that I didn't get a chance to break down too, obviously, because you got to really watch game film to get those plays, or the plays where they're blocking to lead to Jalen Hurts on running the touchdown, to lead to Saquon Barkley running the touchdown. And something else that he does very good is if they're in man coverage, right? The eyes from a cornerback more times than not isn't on the quarterback, it's on their man. So when Jalen Hurts takes off running, most of the time, the defensive players' backs are to the quarterback, right? And A.J. Brown does a good job in those situations with carrying his route upfield as if he's still trying to get open, right? And he's just taking the cornerback out of the situation to be able to come down and make an immediate play on it. So that's one of the things that he does very good, as well as run blocking too, creating those explosive plays for Saquon Barkley. But man, as if for this video, if you did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, click that notification bell, or make sure that notification bell is on. That way you be notified every time I upload, and I'll see y'all in the next video.